Would you turn down the volume on this computer? Are you ready? Welcome to the Folk School on Willow Creek, featuring University Distinguished Professor Tom Easern, singing and telling stories from the Salon on Willow Creek.
I need a bed for the 9 boys, and my horses need hay. I've been riding that grove line on the hot dish highway. Well, the farmer comes to town with his wagon broken down, but the farmer is the man who feeds them all. If you'll only look and see, then I think you will agree that the farmer is the man who feeds them all. The farmer is the man, the farmer is the man, he lives on credit till the fall. Then they take him by the hand and they lead him through the land, and the middleman's the man who gets it all. Well, the lawyer hangs around while the butcher cuts a pound, but the farmer is the man who feeds them all. And the preacher and the cook go strolling by the brook, but the farmer is the man who feeds them all. The farmer is the man, the farmer is the man, he lives on credit till the fall. With the interest rate so high, it's a wonder he don't die, and the mortgage man's the man who gets it all. Now when the banker says he's broke and the merchant's up in smoke, they forget that it's the farmer feeds them all. It would put them to the test if the farmer took a rest, because the farmer is the man who feeds them all. The farmer is the man, the farmer is the man, he lives on credit till the fall. Now his pants are wearing thin, his condition's a sin. He's forgot that he's a man who feeds them all. You may talk of all the nobles of the earth, and of kings who hold the nation in their thrall. Yet in this we must agree, if we only look and see, that the farmer is the man who feeds us all. Then take him by the hand, all ye people of the land, stand by him, whatever troubles may befall. We may say whatever we can, but the farmer is the man, yes, the farmer is the man that feeds us all. Then these speculators all about you know, and it seems they help each other roll the ball. And the people they can fleece, and they take so much apiece, while the farmer is the man who feeds them all. There's the preacher who can preach his sermon long, and the lawyer and the doctor's servants all. There's the tailor and the smith, and I tell you it's no myth that the farmer is the man who feeds them all. Then take him by the hand, all ye people of the land, stand by him whatever troubles may befall. We may say whatever we can, but the farmer is the man, yes, the farmer is the man who feeds them all. Now the day of reckoning's coming by and by, great monopolies are surely doomed to fall. Then onward to the fight, let us battle for the right, for the farmer, he's the man that feeds us all. See, the patrons now are coming to the fight, and their armies too are not the weak and small. So God bless them while they sing, to the farmer who's the king, for the farmer is the man who feeds us all. Well, you know, I didn't get confused there in the middle where I switched melodies. What was going on is, this is the old standard of farm fundamentalism. The farmer is the man. I've known this song for 50 years or more, but it's much older than that. The version that I started out singing, the farmer is the man, and the familiar chorus, familiar to some of us, is the Farmers Union of North Dakota version, because it still appears in the Farmers Union Summer Camp Songbook. Yeah, so the song still has currency. But in the course of researching the Willow Creek Folk School, here over the past year, we found this song actually goes back to 1874. And so when I switched melodies and stanzaic form in the middle there, what I did was I switched back from 21st century North Dakota Farmers Union to 1874 Patrons of Husbandry. See that last stanza? The patrons now are coming to the fight. The patrons of husbandry, the Grange, the Grangers. I shifted into them, and who was singing it then? Well, the Grange chapters in Kansas, and it spread from there all over the prairies. Now, the author of the song is one, you may have sung hymns by the man. The author is the same person who wrote Bringing in the Sheaves, and you'll probably notice a certain similarity of rhythm and melodic contour between Bringing in the Sheaves and The Farmer is the Man. Reverend Shaw wrote the song, and well-known author of hymns. He came from the Midwest, but in the years 1871 to 74, he was in Kansas. He got caught up in this new movement in 1874 of farmers, which is evangelical, like his religion, and he wrote him a song. I don't know that he wrote any other song for the Grangers besides The Farmer is the Man, Noel Shaw, but there it is. This is one of those cases. Oh, yeah, we're back with the Willow Creek Folk School after a holiday hiatus, and then basically down with the horse, the frog here that's still afflicting me quite a bit here. And we're back for the 2023 series of the Willow Creek Folk School. If you go to the Facebook page, you'll find that it's laid out now and scheduled through the end of 2023, so we're ambitious on this. This has been going on since the COVID spring of 2020. That's when we started out with the Willow Creek Folk School, a bit of a lark. We're going back to my folky days from the 1970s and the 1980s, going to have a good time, maybe singing to a few friends, and then it took. And it discovered that with 21st century technology, we can find out all kinds about things about these songs that the song catchers of the early 20th century, like John Lummox and Louise Pound and the rest of them, could not. So here we are, and we're still finding new stuff. Has anybody caught up to us on the new venue here?
They have. They followed along fine. There are quite a few people here.
Well, bless their hearts. Thanks for your patience. This took us by surprise that Facebook had reconfigured and somehow disconnected us from our streaming apparatus here.
Well, I told them we don't really know why we weren't connecting, nor do we really know why we are now, but we'll just go with it.
Well, we've got a week to figure it out.
Yes.
I bet Von Rothenburger's out there, and we'll talk to him in just a minute, but I don't know. Catching you by surprise now. Do you have anything to report from NDSU Press this week, or you just been goofing off?
I actually do have something to report. Surprise, surprise.
I'd like to hear it.
We are planning our 8th annual NDSU Press Party, and this time will be in person. That is the first Thursday of March, so it's March 2nd, at the same place we always have had it, the Alumni Foundation, near the university. We're doing the program at 7 that night, but we're also doing something new. One of our authors is Antonio Gonzalez, And she's been taking part in a program called the Morning Fill-Up. Usually takes place in South Dakota. But we're going to have a Morning Fill-Up segment here, 7 o'clock in the morning, Friday morning.
That's a good one. Are you telling me that you're going to get up and be dressed and be there for a 7 o'clock event in the morning?
No, I'm telling you I'm going to stay up all night and then I'll go. It's a morning fill-up, so there'll be coffee, some little breakfast stuff, and conversation. She'll do an interview with Matt Ailman, who leads up the morning fill-up in South Dakota.
And you did mention who Gonzalez is, right?
Sometimes I just think everybody knows her. Antonia Gonzalez is the founder and broadcaster for the program Native News Network. Excuse me. It's been on the air for decades. She gives news all across the nation about what's going on with various tribes and politics and happenings with Native news everywhere. It's national and international. So she will be our guest. She'll be reading from Rethinking Rural. Matt Ailman, that I just mentioned, was the series editor for that. So she's one of the authors that contributed this time. She's going to hang around and do that second segment Friday morning, so you can come have coffee.
That's Friday, what date?
March 3rd.
March the 3rd. And so the press party is the evening of March the 2nd.
Correct.
This is one of the great university events of the year. Yeah.
It is. We're hoping lots of people will be able to come out. The last time we met in person was in March of 2020. And at that time, we were just getting word about what COVID was like. People were very careful not to shake hands, or we were like tapping ankles, ankle to ankle or elbow to elbow, and a greeting, and very thankful that it did not turn out to be a spreader incident, but that was just before they cut everything off. So that's the last time we met in person. Anyway, come to the March 2nd, 8th annual NDSU press party. Cat Sank Trio is going to bookend the event again. They're coming out of retirement to play for our event. So we'll have music, we'll have stories, we'll have food, we'll have books. And then this follow-up morning after event, it's just going to go from 7 till 8, so people can come in, hear the interview, grab a cup of coffee, and then go to work.
Well, I'm still catching my breath. You feel like we're kind of off a step here from the scramble getting connected?
It's because we are.
Yeah, we probably were before that anyway. Hey, one of the things that's characterized the Willow Creek Folk School since 2020, that opening now, boy, geez, it's almost 3 years ago, isn't it? Yeah. This is Willow Creek Folk School number 125 tonight.
Oh my goodness.
One of the things that's characterized it is discovery. Oh yeah, we got the old standards like the farmer is the man, and then we discover the origins that were never known until we set to work on them here with the folk school. But also discover these ballads that are utterly forgotten, but had terrific currency a century and more ago. We're just rebuilding our sense of what the balladic and folkloric life of the Great Plains was in late 19th and early 20th century. And it's the power of digitized source material, particularly newspapers. They are the venue by which ballads circulated in those times, in their heyday. There's about a generation. A generation window is the heyday of the ballad in the late 19th and early 20th century. So we've always got new ones. Now in this case, tonight, got a little help from a great old friend who I'm sure has found us to our location now, Von Rothenburger.
I believe you did.
Of Kansas. Now Von, geez, he's about my age actually, but he actually was a student of mine at Emporia State University studying Kansas history. And he came in, and he's always digging into stuff on his own. And he still is today. You know, he's a great local historian. and a promoter of historic tourism in his region of northern Kansas. And he came in, and I had people reading the book Sod and Stubble by John Ives, a great narrative of the homesteading experience on the Central Plains. And he came in, he had found the original text by the author John Ives, who deposited it in the library special collections at the University of Kansas. No, they don't just do basketball there. There are other things at the University of Kansas, including the papers of John Ives, the natural resource economist and great chronicler of the homesteading experience, particularly with reference to his mother in the book Sod and Stubble. He had found it. It was like on Big Chief tablet pages, the chapters of Sod and Stubble. And it had been in print since, I believe, Vaughn, since 1936. But then this resulted in Vaughn bringing out through University Press of Kansas, a new edition of Sod and Stubble, restoring lost chapters. I wrote the introduction to that too.
Yes, your name is on here too.
Yeah. Suzanne's going to read from that here just a moment. Now, so I got a note from Vaughn here a couple weeks ago. I just noticed that chapter 27 of Sod and Stubble there is reprinted what Henry Ives describes as a bit of doggerel, then popular in the newspapers. I never looked this up. I wondered if you've ever come across it. Well, naturally, Vaughn, that set me to searching for source material on this song, which I found actually has a title, 3%. Why don't we wait to tell you about it, and let's just set this up the way it appears in the book, Sod and Stubble, where the Ives family, the homesteaders, are having a tough patch in the 1880s, and this song figures in the narrative. Can you read for us, Dr. Kelly?
The winter of 1887 and 88 was a cruel winter. The winter after May was born, 30 below zero in January. Some of the neighbors lost cattle from cold and starvation, but Henry had good shelter and enough feed to keep his livestock in fair condition. Night after night, Rosie and the children had to catch the chickens that roosted in the trees and throw them into the chicken coop. Every night, Rosie carried live coals into the cellar to prevent the vegetables from freezing and put hot bricks in the children's beds. In March, there was enough pleasant weather to tempt the box elder leaves out and to bring birds back from the south. Then, on March the 19th, a raging blizzard rode in from the north, and when spring finally came, the children found quails, robins, snowbirds, and meadowlarks frozen to death along the hedgerows. The interest in the mortgage ran on, and there was no money to pay on the principal that year. Henry often thought of a bit of doggerel that was widely printed at the time.
A chattel mortgage in the West is like a cancer on your breast. It slowly eats your life away. Saps your vitals day by day. A cloud by day, a fire by night. Stands before the poor man's side and haunts him in his dreams and sleep, while salt tears trickle down his cheek. Now the sorghum lapper, tired and poor, sees bank in gold above the door, and when the threshold once is crossed, the trap is sprung, and the lapper's lost. A cloud by day and a fire by night, it stands before the poor man's side, haunts him in his dreams and sleep, while salt tears trickle down his cheek. His team, his grain, his cow and hog, his land and breeches, wife and dog, on the altar of 3% are tossed. Time rolls along and all is lost. cloud by day, a fire by night. It stands for the poor man's side and haunts him in his dreams and sleep, while salt tears trickle down his cheek. Oh, but now Judge Wilson comes and brings glad tidings on his healing wings, and said the poor man can't be rent unless the banker proves intent. Cloud by day and fire by night, it stands before the poor man's sight, haunts him in his dreams and sleep, while salt tears trickle down his cheek. Dr. K, I hope our farm mortgage is not causing you to lose sleep and
It does.
cause salt tears to trickle down your cheek. It's the least of our worries.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Oh, the song is so interesting with what's in it. A sorghum lapper. Now, to people in North Dakota, that makes no sense. But a sorghum lapper is somebody who makes his sweetener from sorghum cane, right? It looks like a bit like a cornstalk, but it's African sorghum, and not grain sorghum or Milo maize. It's silage sorghum, and you can chop that up and extract the sap of it and boil it into a type of molasses. Great favorite of my Grandpa Dunicay. Loved his sorghum. This is why I always keep a bit of it in the cabinet, although I don't think you're too fond of it. It's a little bitter to modern tastes. So the sorghum lapper, that's what that's referring to. And from, Nebraska down, sorghum was a common feature of the pioneer diet. It gets down to the end of the, and 3%. What the heck is that? Well, that sounds like a pretty good interest rate, 3%. No, that's 3% per month, folks. And farm mortgages ran higher than that. Financed out of New York and Chicago and Boston, and the profits going back east from the farm. And then that last stanza, now Judge Wilson comes and brings glad tidings and so on. What's up with that? Well, okay, we've got the black box on that. It turns out that this song arose on a particular day under particular circumstances. A History of Republic County, Kansas, writes that one of the most noted characters, one most widely known, connected with the history of the local court, was the late Judge L.W. Borton. They call him Judge. He was an attorney. He never held a seat as a judge. He was an Ohio native, but he moved out to Kansas in the homesteading days. He was elected to the legislature, being serving to represent District 81. This local history says that Judge Borton was without doubt the most inveterate storyteller and most skillful in the state. Now, he was arguing a case, the state of Kansas versus Jim Little. Jim Little was a farmer, a mortgage holder, the defendant. He had been accused of disposing of property that was under mortgage and thereby perhaps perpetrating some kind of fraud on the lender. But Judge Borton argued that, first of all, the interest rates were exorbitant and they themselves were a crime. But beyond that, his client hadn't intended to dispose of property. It was not the land itself. It was personal property or buildings and that sort of stuff, and that he had disposed of that, not knowing that it was really encumbered by the mortgage. It was not really his intent. And so when the judge ruled in his client's favor, Judge, what's his name again? The real judge ruled, then the titular judge, the attorney, Borton, then penned these stanzas on a scrap of paper and handed them to the editor. Then they go to the newspaper. In this case, it's the Belleville Telescope. I pick it up first in the 5th of October of 1882, and I find it in 20 other places after that. It really spread all over the countryside there. That day that this song came into being, the Telescope reports, District Court convened Monday and on going to press, the following are a portion of the cases disposed of. State of Kansas versus James R. Little and Charles Little. So there were two defendants. The above case occupied the attention of the court during Tuesday. The defendants were charged with having sold property upon which they had given a chattel mortgage with intent to defraud the assignees of said chattel mortgage. The evidence for the prosecution showed that after the mortgage was given and had been assigned, the defendant sold the property mortgaged. No other evidence was introduced by the state or for the defense. The defendants moved the court to instruct the jury to find a verdict of not guilty, by which motion was allowed. Judge Wilson holding that before there could be a conviction, there must be evidence of intent to defraud. See, and that goes right into the song, doesn't it? As well as evidence of a sale, and there being no evidence of any intent to defraud the case, the jury was instructed to find a verdict of not guilty. I've got a hunch that judge and jury were a little bit on side with the farmer's case in that case. Whereupon the following poem was written by Judge Horton, and that's the attorney and the songwriter, and he wrote down on that scrap of paper what I just sang. A chattel mortgage in the West. I find that this song is quoted by multiple historians from Alan Bogue in the 1950s down to well into the 21st century, always just kind of taking it without any sense of where the song came from. They picked it up secondhand from somewhere. Well, now we can tell you exactly, and in fact, the day on which that song originated and have wide currency on the Central Plains. That's 3%. So I love it when I can say we have just brought in a classic ballad from the heyday of balladry, brought it back into the canon. Got it. Who do we have with us tonight, Dr. Kelly?
Well, I think this is very interesting. Lindsay Flory writes, "Sod and stubble was the first college text I decided to keep."
The first one she kept.
Yes. It's a keeper. That's right.
Let's ask Lindsay who she read Sod and Stubble for. Whose class? Where was that?
Yeah,
I'd like to know.
That would be interesting. And then B. Lanning writes that Sod and Stubble is being made into a movie.
Well, now I'm sure that Von Rothenburger can tell us about that. And I've asked him to post some information here on the chat line about the imminent production of a Sod and Stubble movie. Whether you can find that stuff on your screen or not, since I know that we're in unfamiliar territory and coming in the back door on everything through different accounts here. Who else do we have with us tonight? Any troublemakers?
No troublemakers. Everybody seems to be glad that you're back.
What? Yeah, it's good to be back, right?
Yes.
And we've got the fireplaces repaired, and they're going.
The fireplace is repaired, and there were some questions about your throat, and your voice seems to be working just fine.
Well, yeah, there's a struggle, but hey, it's not a perfect voice under the best conditions. We've got one other feature song here to get to. And if I haven't said it, welcome back, those who have come back to the Willow Creek Folk School tonight and have found your way to the relocated venue and all that sort of stuff. And we'll try to straighten this out. I think I know how to do that too, Dr. K. It's been working on me here. I think I know what to do to make it work.
Interesting.
But at any rate, the theme for tonight is down and out, being down and out. The farmer is the man, they take him by the hand and lead him through the land and the 3% mortgage. And now we're going to a classic, The Dying Hobo. This is always kind of a favorite song. People like it a lot. We have been singing it on the plains for well over a century. The standard version I commonly sing, I actually picked up from a Fargo source, I believe in 1910. I've got others emanating from Oklahoma, Kansas, Nebraska. It is all over the prairies. It seemed to reach its heyday on the prairies around that time in 1910. It was picked up. Now here's the thing about it. This song, it's a hobo song, But I think it's a song about hobos and not of hobos. I don't know that hobos sang this song. I think railroad people propagated this song about hobos. Because every time I pick it up, here's this song that a hobo wrote, but it's never coming from him. It's somebody else have it. It's always like it's found material. He left it behind in the jail cell when he left town or something like this. Invariably, it's that way. It's found material, and we can't trace it to an author. I can trace it to many people who bring it into a newspaper office or something like that and say, I found this, but it's always that I found this. But I don't think that the author was really a hobo. It might have been a prison guard. It might have been a railroad detective. It might have been a brakeman. It might have been a conductor, something like that. Somebody who knew hobo life and wrote the song about it. That is my sense from the rhetoric of the thing, of the Dying Hobo. It's all over the prairies, unattributed. I've done my best to track it down. The best I can tell you is to say it did not originate on the prairies. And in fact, the song appears to be circulating in California in the 1890s. My earliest text is from the Daily Delta of Visalia, California, the 3rd of February, 1894. And here it is right there, the Dying Hobo. I'm going to sing this text, the earliest known text. And is it the earliest text? I have no idea, but I can say that at this point it's the earliest known text of the Dying Hobo. And it's very similar to the ones that circulated in the prairies. It's very similar to the one that Carl Sandburg would sing to audiences of thousands after his poetry readings in the early 20th century. I'm about to sing the Visalia text of the Dying Hobo. 'Twas at a western water tank one cold November day, when in an empty boxcar a dying hobo lay. His partner sat beside him with sad and drooping head, and patiently listened as his dying comrade said, I'm a-going, said the hobo, to a land fair and bright, where the weather's always warm enough to sleep outdoors at night, where the handouts grow on bushes and folks never comb their locks, and little streams of alcohol are running down the rocks. Tell my sweetheart down on Clark Street, where next your face, her face you view, that I've caught the great eternal freight and I'm gonna ride her through. Oh, tell her not to weep for me in her eyes, no tears to lurk, for I'm gone to a country fair where no man has to work. I'm a-going, said the hobo, to a land that's fair and bright, where the weather's always warm enough to sleep outdoors at night, where the handouts grow on bushes and folks never comb their locks, and little streams of alcohol are running down the rock. Hark, I hear the engine whistle, I must catch her on the fly. Heaven bless you, my comrade. It's so hard to die. He bowed his head, he drooped his eyes, he never spoke again. And then his partner left and took the rods of an eastbound train. I'm going, said the hobo, to a land that's fair and bright, where the weather's always warm enough to sleep outdoors at night, where the handouts grow on bushes and folks never comb their locks, and little stream of alcohol are running down the road. Yes, little streams of alcohol are running down the road. Isn't that a good one? That chorus, you just get to rollicking along with it. Little streams of alcohol. You know, that brings up something. I don't know how many times has it come up over the past 3 years. What is in this cup? Always working.
It's tang.
Yeah, if you can see it at all on the camera, it's not brown in there, if that's what you're thinking. No, it's just club soda in there. Now, after the Willow Creek folk school, commonly I do pour a couple fingers of something. Mm-hmm. And sometimes Dr. Kelly has some baked goods, just coincidentally around for the occasion. We have our little rituals.
We only have 4 cookies due to an incident. But we do have.
Excuse me? An incident? It was tax.
Tax?
Yeah. You know, it's not the mortgage that's eating us up, it's the taxes. Dogs put a tax on anything left on the counters around here.
All right.
Here's another little tradition that's set in fairly early in the history of the Willow Creek Folk School, and that is to come up with a calendar ballad, I call it. Maybe this was a foolhardy thing to undertake, but I thought, every week I'd just write an original ballad having to do with what's going on. The time of year often figures in it, some event of the day, or maybe a sad and lugubrious ballad when the legislature comes into session, things like that. So we got one now. And this is, in the winter, things are dead dark all around us here in the Salon on Willow Creek, and you see nothing out the windows here. Whereas in the summer, now you see the lush gardens out back and the trees down on the creek. Well, now all you can see out there is deep snow drifts anyway. And to make it much the worse, I don't mind snow, and Angie the history dog loves a good snowdrift. But sometimes there settles in on the northern plains a string of weather that is abominable, not so much because of the cold, because we don't have deadly cold right now. It's the dreariness of it. You get these lows that settle in, and it's overcast day after day, and everything is just subtle shades of gray wherever you look out there. This is kind of depressing. And then finally, a big old lazy high rolls in across the landscape and sweeps those clouds away. And maybe if there's enough crystalline ice in the atmosphere, the sun comes up and hangs above the horizon a bit, and there appears a glistening sundog on either side of the orb. And that's a good day. It's a good day because, we're going to have blue skies and spirits will lift and the owly feeling goes away. And it's a good day just because it's so unspeakably beautiful. So the calendar ballad this week is the Sundogs. When the aspect of winter grows dreary and overcast day after day, your temperament tends to get owly and you long for a color not gray. So call out the sundogs of winter, so put the gray skies on the run, to range the cerulean heavens and yield to the glorious sun. If I wanted a gray, drippy winter, I'd move to Seattle today. But as long as these sundogs are a-barking, right here in Dakota I'll stay. So call out the sundogs of winter, to put the gray skies on the run, to range the cerulean heavens and yield to the glorious sun. Now what breed are these sundogs, you ask me? There's no pedigree we can see, but I reckon they must be retrievers, for they bring winter cheer back to me. So call out the sundogs of winter, to put the gray skies on the run, to range the cerulean heavens and yield to the glorious sun. With the deer and the antelope play, where the banker says he's broke and the merchants up in smoke, they forget that it's the farmer feeds them all. It would put them to the test if the farmer took a rest, because the farmer is the man who feeds them all. Now a chattel mortgage in the West is like a cancer on your breast. It slowly takes your life away, and it eats your vitals day by day. A cloud by day, a fire by night, keeps him in a dreadful plight, haunts him in his dreams and sleep. Salt tears trickle down his cheek. Now I'm going, said the hobo, to a land that's fair and bright, where the weather's always warm enough to sleep outdoors at night, where the handouts grow on bushes and folks never comb their locks, and little streams of alcohol, little streams of alcohol, little streams of alcohol are running down the road. Where seldom is heard a discouraging word, and the skies are not cloudy. We got those sundogs all the day, and the skies are not cloudy all day. Dr. Kelly.
We now conclude today's edition of the Folk School on Willow Creek. We invite you to join us again next Friday at 8 p.m. Central Time for more songs and stories.